Hello, it's me, Ingrid, again. Thank you so very much for joining me. As always, I love when you return. I love when you visit and stop in and watch these videos because it shows me that I might be on the path to doing something right. Today, I want to talk about rejection and overcoming rejection. I am very familiar with rejection. I think most of the population will, if they have not already done so, encounter rejection at some point. What is rejection? I didn't look for the definition because I'm so familiar with it. I'm going to talk to you about my perspective and how I encounter rejection and how I view rejection. For me, rejection is someone that's like a slap in the face. It's like somebody saying, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't like what you have to say. I don't agree with who you are, or I just pretty much, you don't exist. After you've given your all, after you have tried desperately to make someone love you or someone like you, and that person does not reciprocate, that's rejection. Rejection, simply put, is when somebody makes you feel less than. It is one of the most difficult emotions to overcome. I have spent years, my entire existence trying to overcome rejection, or when I have had been forced to deal with rejection in a present situation, it hasn't lessened. It hasn't felt any different than when it first occurred. The only difference is my ability and capability in handling the rejection, or how I respond or react to that rejection. For me, rejection started with my parents, with one of them, my mom. And the core of rejection as a child is something that underlies everything you do as an adult. It doesn't matter how strong you come up from that and you say, well, you know what, I don't care. They hurt me. I'm going to go on. I'm going to move on with my life. And you go on and you may have developed or even managed the ability to develop a great lifestyle. At some point, the initial rejection will resurface because rejection translates into pain. And pain is something that people tend to bury if they refuse to deal with it. So if you are dealing with rejection, you first have to address the core of the rejection. Rejection is going to be ongoing. It's going to be your life. Everybody's not going to like you. Everybody's not going to love what you say or what you do. Everybody's not going to accept you. So how do you deal with rejection on a day-to-day basis, especially in relationships? That's when it most matters, especially when somebody rejects you for whatever reason. A lot of people get divorced, and they have to deal not with the divorce itself, but with the fact that they feel a sense of rejection. Or somebody who, a child, trying to look up to their parents, trying to prove to one of their parents that they're deserving of their love, and that parent does not reciprocate that love. That's rejection. I'm sure you understand what rejection is if you're watching this. And I'm sure that if you came to this page, that you're trying to find some way to cope with that depression. For me, the rejection that I experienced from my mother, like I said, it stayed with me for a very long time. And it's something that when I encounter it, it's always the same like response. It's like you have this PTSD symptom. It's like somebody's rejecting me again. But over time, as you learn to develop yourself, and as you become more in tune with yourself and realize that there's nothing wrong with you, then you realize that rejection is an emotion. And it's an emotion that you can address. Just if somebody doesn't want you, if somebody doesn't want to be with you, if somebody doesn't see your value, does that mean that you have to devalue yourself in order to feel sorry for yourself or to deal with the rejection? No. If somebody doesn't understand you, if somebody doesn't see your value, that's the moment when you need to recognize your own value. That's the moment when you need to rise up and realize that you are greater than the sum of all your parts. You are greater than this incident. You're greater than the incident that tried to break you. So for me, with my clients, one of the things I do is I always go to your childhood. Freud said everything has a childhood manifestation. It all started at the level of childhood. That's true for most of society. Most people at some point encounter rejection young, when you were in your most vulnerable state, and your emotions were raw and you didn't understand yourself, or you didn't understand the elements of mistrust, or or deception. And then somebody deceived you, or they forced you to develop mistrust of them, and you realize that it all came from you not understanding yourself at that point. Rejection usually comes at your most vulnerable, and it always attacks your vulnerability. So that's one of the things you need to know. How to overcome rejection. For me, it is a constant work in action. It's no different than going to Alcoholics Anonymous, or Gamanon, or Narcotics Anonymous. It is a process. It's something that you have to constantly work on. You have to work on self, not the rejection. You have to work on yourself. You have to get to the place where you practice self-love. You have to practice healing. You have to heal from the wound that was inflicted on you when you were first rejected, or when you encountered rejection. Rejection opens up wounds, and is a wound that must heal in order for you, the individual, to heal. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to love and to be vulnerable and to give yourself willingly to someone else and have your heart snatched out, thrown on the floor, and stomped on. It's not easy. It's not easy to put yourself at risk when you choose to love or to give your heart blindly as a child, as an adult. But it shouldn't stop you from giving your heart if you understand that rejection is not the end all and be all. Start the healing process. Love yourself. Recognize that rejection is an emotion. Rejection is something that if you hold on to, it will impede your success throughout the rest of this earthly journey. You have to stop and heal. You have to stop and acknowledge that you're hurt, that somebody hurt you. Acknowledge the emotion. Let the emotion wash over you. Write it down. Journaling is a great way of dealing with a lot of emotions, but especially rejection. Trace back when you first felt rejected. Trace back who forced you to feel that rejection. Trace back your feelings about that person. A lot of us bury stuff and we don't want to excavate it. But I suggest that excavating it is the only way to get rid of it. Let's go and find those skeletons in your closet. Let's find a skeleton called rejection. Let's pull that skeleton out and let's dissect it. And let us realize that it's nothing but bones. And bones cannot hurt you unless you want them to. My name is Ingrid. If you enjoy these segments, as always, please like, and please encourage other people to like the segments. Visit my website, thejourneyoftruth.com, where you'll find more videos and more information that can help you in your journey to the truth and your journey to spiritual actualization. Thank you for visiting. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye.